Welcome back to the Digital Dive. This week's episode, we have the brilliant and incredibly talented Sara Dietschy. You guys probably know her as a creative entrepreneur, a YouTuber, podcast host. You do like everything. I'm actually stoked that you're coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked that this will be a good video podcast too. Sounds like we're all dialed in.
Exactly.
Yeah, what you guys didn't see was me like struggling for 10 minutes to get this angle. But no, Sara, I think we should just start by talking about what you have going on right now, because I feel like no one else has that going on right now with video podcasts.
Definitely. It's been a journey. So with everything happening, I'm obviously doing much more of my podcast, That Creative Life, via Zoom. So probably 70% of the interviews I'm doing are remote, which, you know, are a little tough just because there's that delay, there's the awkward kind of stepping on people's toes of, well, what's it? And I'm just okay, if I can make this as seamless as possible. And also there's a lot of technological things you have to worry about, especially, I'm sure you guys are aware, when you make a variety of different content, whether it's YouTube, podcasts, you're always taking your same gear, breaking it down, building it back up for different setups. So when it came to podcasts, I just had little things going wrong every single episode. So I was just like, let's completely scrap this. Let's figure out how to do all these things. Let's figure out how to have a dedicated podcast setup and for video, because I do enjoy the video aspect of it, even though my podcast is audio first. I'm like, let's figure out the video so I can confidently post this, because I just won't post a video episode if something went wrong, because I'd rather people have a seamless audio experience than be like, oh, I don't like the way that looked. So literally, I have, my video camera and audio both going through my Zoom setup, as well as being able to record locally. So I have my camera set up via Zoom, via Camlink. And then I'm using the Rodecaster Pro to record internally here to an SD card, but also via USB-C. I have it plugged into my computer, so I can choose my mic as the source via Zoom. And Zoom makes it really easy to just select different inputs, which is great. And then the last thing and I'm not going to pretend I did this all by myself, so I just hired a studio manager. Shout out to Jared. He's sitting right next to me. What's up, Jared?
That's
so
sick.
Congratulations.
He was able to help bounce ideas and figure all of this out. In order to get the right eye line as well, is really tough, because it's really awkward when you want to have eye contact with the people you're talking to. It's almost rude to be like, hey,
Yeah, it's weird.
So in order to fix that, I basically have my computer, so the Zoom window is mirrored to a monitor, the Atmos Shinobi, right below my camera, so that eye line, I can look straight into the camera, but also when I'm looking straight at you guys, it looks like I'm looking at the camera. So
yeah,
I know that was a
genius.
lot, but it's been a journey.
No. Yeah.
No, it's an incredible setup. Like we can literally see probably exactly how the clip is going to look. We can see it in the Zoom call, and it looks phenomenal. Like it puts me and Jock into shame. Like everyone watching or listening right now, they can't see this. They can't see our Zoom call links, but
and that's the thing too, is there's so many things go wrong all the time. So that's why I was like,
exactly.
I want my backup to be good as well. Because sometimes a lot of mistakes that I've still made is when you have someone who doesn't have their own setups, you're taking the audio from Zoom.
Yeah.
Naturally, Zoom doesn't separate their audio. So that's something you have to go and dig in the settings and say, separate the guest audio. So I actually just did this a few weeks ago, where I didn't separate the audio. So my guest audio that I had to take from was the Zoom audio, but also it was attached to my audio.
Yeah.
But luckily I had the Zoom Rodecaster plugged in to Zoom. So I had my good audio attached to that, and I just used that audio. I'm getting so into the weeds right now, but there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of benefits.
I think all of our listeners would be more than ecstatic to hear about this kind of stuff. I feel like we talk a lot about production and a lot about the process behind trying to be creative and getting stuff done. And this is actually really, really insightful, at least if not for our audience, then for us. Cause that's actually a very good note to have. Speaking of just being creative in general, so you have your own podcast, That Creative Life. It's fantastic, by the way. I've started listening to it every morning while I would do my work. I will go work out, I'll come back, and I'll just start listening to different podcasts, and you're one of the few that I actually do listen to. So fantastic job there.
Thank you.
But we actually wanted to hear more about your creative workflow. And I think we asked you about this on Twitter already. Things about Notion, how it works when it comes to hiring people. Like you just mentioned, you hired Jared. I think this is what his name was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, how does that kind of work for you? The entire creative workflow, I guess.
Totally. It is a process. So something that was really frustrating in the beginning is I thought people just kind of arrived. I thought it was something that you either have it or you don't. But like everything in life, it is something that you have to practice. It's a muscle that you have to continually work out and figure out, because oh my gosh, it's tough. When you are a creative first and you're used to chaos. I'm used to being like a messy creative, like I'll just figure it out, figure it out as you're going. You have to learn, and you have to like listen to these podcasts and ask these questions. And thank goodness there's so many resources out there on YouTube and all these podcasts I listen to. I just became a sponge, I felt like, for a few years, and then I started failing. You just got to start trying and failing. So when it came to, we'll just start with like the software that I use for keeping my life on track. When it came to that, it was a lot of trial and error. So I tried Asana. I tried just doing everything via Google Apps, Google Docs and stuff. I tried a lot of stuff, but everything for me was kind of dumping it and then forgetting it. I never used any of the software actively, which I think is so important. Yeah. Maybe you need something where you can just look at it and have it organized, but I needed something that was fun for me to use, so I would keep going back and actually using it. So that's what Notion ended up being for me, because they already have a lot of cool, structurally, there's a lot of cool things for you to organize things, whether it's tables or Kanban boards or all of that. And then you build your own structure around it. And it's really fun. I mean, it's actually really fun. And it's you trying to problem solve. You can customize it to your workflow. And I talk about it so much on Twitter. I'm glad I'm finally getting paid for it. I have like 2 sponsored videos by Notion coming up where I'm going to be going through my workflow. That's great. So it's always fun when you talk about a product so much for free. And then like finally they, not finally, I don't expect anyone to pay me, but it's cool when those natural partnerships can line up. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm such a big fan of that. After I'll show you guys, I'll like add my screen, or maybe this could be a part of the podcast. I don't know. Maybe I could show you a few things, but it just worked for my brain. So number one is just try out different programs. And if you're not actively using them, like don't feel like you're married to that. Try another one. I stayed in Asana for way too long. So yeah, that. And then with hiring, oh, it's so hard. Like it's terrible. It's so bad. Yeah, it's so hard. And I think you have to realize, you have to figure out the balance of, first of all, figure out what you're really good at. And on top of that, what do you just not want to do? And start with what you really don't want to do and what you're not good at, if that makes sense. Yeah. So those are the easiest things to hire for, because you're not going to be you're not going to be, what's it called? We're like
controlling of it.
Yeah. You're not going to be a control freak. You're not going to micromanage. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. And because it's not something you enjoy to do or you're not good at, you can just find someone who can just take it for you. And I always tell people now, I look for initiative. If you can just do something without me telling, or if there's like if I don't tell you exactly what to do, but you just figure out and you do it, that is like my North Star for a person who, regardless if maybe they're not hitting it on the skills, maybe there's things to work on, you can always work on that. You can always like help build someone's skills up if they have the foundation and their just attitude is right. And I think a lot of that comes from you as a person hiring is setting expectations, not promising the world in the beginning. Just aligning expectations of what you expect from the person, making sure it's fair all around. Also asking people like what are their goals? That's important too, because this industry is very, cyclical. People will come in and out. So that's important to also have documentation of your process. So if you have to, you build into someone for 6 months and oh my gosh, they leave you all of a sudden, and then you're back to the drawing board, which can be really annoying. So making sure to document process so you can kind of just, if that happens, go hire someone and it's not a ton of work to, you know, add another person to the flow.
Now you hired a video editor, but I would argue that editing is maybe one of like the things that you're like incredible at, and that's a huge distinction for you.
Yeah.
So what was like why did you have to do that? I mean, like, obviously editing takes forever.
Yeah. Well, that's why that one was so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was I never expect anyone to come in and just completely take my editing workflow, because that is what I'm the most confident in, what I'm the best at, and what I enjoy to a certain degree if I'm not editing every single day, right?
Yeah.
So it was basically just to take off a certain load off my plate. So when it comes to video editing, I still edit probably 60% of my videos,
okay.
and then the other 40% is, or maybe now it's like a healthy 50-50. So now I get to really focus on the videos that I care about and that I want to edit, and I have more time to edit those. And then the ones that I don't really care about or I don't think need my special sauce, I've now worked with an editor who is really crushing it for me. But again, it's always a journey. And whenever there's a little bit of, whenever there's like a misalignment and maybe they just didn't edit a video you expected, you know, in the way you expected, I'm the type of person that will be like, oh, okay, well, I just have to do this all on my own again. And I like won't text them for 2 weeks. And so that's something I do need to work on, is just communication. Because it's like, okay, hey, this is the reason why this wasn't correct. This is what we need to work on. Now I have to kind of backtrack some stuff. So I'm not going to text. I won't be in touch for the next couple weeks. But like, this doesn't mean that I don't want to use you anymore. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Communication is something that I've definitely had to learn and work on. Because I'll just ice people out, you know?
If they don't do what you want. Yeah.
Well, this is why this is so confusing. I will do that to people regardless if they did a good job, or like regardless of how the last project went. So I feel like my brain is always so scattered so much of the time that I just won't text someone for a week, regardless if they did a good job for me. It'll just be like, oh, I don't need you for this week. And then I'll be like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? So
yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, so that's where that initiative comes into play, where I'm like, always like, feel free to text me or take initiative, like, hey, what are our next projects coming up? Or like, when do you need me next? That helps me a lot. And so that's where I think it goes back to the communication of just setting expectations, telling the people how you work so they know how to work with you. Yeah. I'm not an expert, but I'm learning.
Yeah, no, I feel like you've kind of crushed and expanded the team, because we've had this discussion a lot. Like, I am looking for someone to help me film, or I was for a really long time. And I had the same thing where I hired like 3 or 4 people, and it just went so bad. Like, they would say that they were able to do something, and then we'd be in the studio on like a sponsored shoot, and they wouldn't. I'd be like, oh my God, like, you have to move the light if you want the shot to be lit up, like super basic stuff. And obviously everyone like starts their creative journey at different points, but I feel like you got to tell people where you're at.
Yeah. And if you're paying someone, they need to come knowing how to do things.
Yeah, it's tough. And also it's like, I like filming, but I need the help, but it's so hard to give away control with anything. Like, I think control, especially as creatives, like we all, like the art is like a representation of what we want to do. And it's so hard to like have someone else be involved in it. But I feel like you've done a pretty good job expanding pretty well. And also, I think that transitions us into your company, Switchboard, which is a joint venture. So how has that been, like, working with someone else? Because obviously, like, Sara Dietschy, your brand is, like, your own thing, and you're, like, CEO, and now it's a little different.
Yeah, definitely. So Switchboard is something that hopefully will be out in the public, and hopefully the next year. I'm not sure, but it's the first foray in building something definitely bigger than me. So it's a piece of creative software that's going to help automate the things that aren't fun about video editing, that aren't fun about micro content. And so I'm doing this with my partner, Adam, who is a genius programmer, he came to me with this idea probably like a year and a half ago now. I mean, it was a while back. It was at Buffer Festival 1 or 2 years ago, which is crazy. And I kind of knew of him. I was like following him on Twitter. I knew he was based here in New York. So when he first presented this idea to me, and I feel like I get ideas all the time, but it's always just like, I'm so busy, you know? Like I have to make YouTube videos and that's the only thing I can do. So when something presents an idea that I'm like, oh, this is actually extremely helpful. This is cool. And they obviously have a history of creating things and building companies that makes it even more attractive to where I know that it can be, like you said, a joint venture. It doesn't just fall on my shoulders. So yeah, when he presented this idea to me, I was like, oh, hands down. He was kind of thinking of me as maybe like an advisor or someone who kind of was just on the sidelines but helped with it. And I just said, yo, this is fantastic. This is so on brand for me. I know I can add so much value. I want to be a partner in this. Let's do this together. And so there's been so many, you know, we both have full-time jobs, so that's one thing. But then like the world pandemic happened and he had a baby and I was going through some growing pains with hiring people and just life gets in the way. So we kind of had to recalibrate everything. And the more you spend on a product, the more you second guess yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's scary too. So it's been one of those things that recently, you know, in the past month or so, we've gotten in a much better place where we've kind of gone down to the core of the product. We've figured out what is going to be the most helpful thing to creators. And also we've been interviewing a few people, just asking about their process and, you know, where they spend their most time. And we've basically gotten to a place where we're stripping down the product completely, turning off features to the point where we just want to get it in some of these, you know, private beta people's hands to where they can just start using it. We can start fixing things. We can start improving things and just one feature at a time. And I think that's helped. I know both of us as thinking about this product, it's helped us strip back just what are the most important things. How do we like make a complex product that we know isn't going to break?
Yeah.
It helps to just break it down one feature at a time, you know, 1 out of 12 features, start there, get people using it. How does it fit in their workflows? And hopefully in the next few months, we can start now expanding the beta, getting it in, you know, people like you guys, your hands. And I think the fear of it is, oh man, you know, it's not going to be good enough because it's not like a ton of features. But I think we just had to get over that fear of just start.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be perfect. If you set those expectations again to people to where they just know what to expect and it's a journey, then it'll be fine. We all got to start somewhere, guys.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't start, then like you never can get the good feedback. But what's like the headlining feature or the feature that you guys are starting with? Is it captions for video or what is it?
Yeah, so basically, so captions, transcriptions, making those, and there's services who they already do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Premiere, I'm pretty sure Premiere is coming out with a workflow for that.
Oh, okay.
In Premiere over the next year or so. But I have a feeling it's still going to be a clunky process because things are just so, I mean, clunky is the right word for anything transcription. So that will be where we're starting, but it's just building blocks. So that's the first building blocks. And then we're just going to start adding things to where, hey, you can take long podcast episodes like this, long videos, and it'll just automatically break it up into really great micro for social. Of course, to the point where it'll just do a lot of stuff automatically without you having to worry about it. Because I don't know about you guys, but the moment you have to worry about captions, even if it's like a 50-second video,
so annoying.
Sitting there and just
takes forever.
Oh, typing it out, it just takes so long. So it's gonna automate that. And that'll be just the beginning.
Yeah, I had an internship like 2.5 years ago, and my entire job was just doing captions. It was a really reputable like company, so I wanted to do it, and it was the worst. It was like 5 to 10 hours a week of literally just like doing captions. It sucked, and it gave me so much respect for the people that like do that.
No,
and if it's automated.
Oh.
Yeah, if something like that's automated, that would be insane. Like I look back at like my first year of university basically, and I was working this job for the school. It was like a marketing job, and I was basically making videos for them. And I speak very fast. Like, it's no secret, I speak super fast sometimes. And I was making these videos for them, and they literally hit me up after I made an entire web series. It was like, I think it was 10 videos. Each one was like 3 to 5 minutes long. And they're like, hey, by the way, could you add captions to that? And I was like, oh no, this is not going to go well at all. It took me a solid couple of days, just had to sit down and grind it through. But I was like, something like this would be so ideal for like that kind of experience. That was terrible.
Yeah.
That sounds awful. And not to mention that, like, when you're doing it in Premiere, it doesn't have a spell check.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there's just so many things to worry about. So yeah, the goal is to start with these things that obviously people need help with. And there's some really cool, I think people are scared of automation, but writing captions is not fulfilling creative work.
Yeah.
So it's focusing on the things that allow you to free up your time for the creative work, you know? So starting there and just creating just a platform that's going to help you do all of those different types of things. I know I'm being more vague, but
No, like
many things.
No, exactly. Like, actually, funny enough, a friend of mine was talking about that. He's like the one thing that he felt was missing, like from creatives, like workflow, was literally just like transcriptions.
Yeah.
Like, he was asking me about transcription for like the podcast and stuff. I was like, yeah, we don't get that done. Like, we never felt like we needed to. We never thought of that as at all.
No, like, honestly, we did, but it was just, remember we had someone do it for us and there were so many typos the first time when we hired that person. It was an absolute disaster.
No, yes, that was the first editor. She was great. She introduced us to Asana. That was the first time we ever used Asana.
She was very nice. The edit came back and it was a total redo, and we're listening to it, and I said to Darsh, like, oh, like, I don't know if we can post this. And then she sends the captions through and there were so many typos, and I was like, yeah, that's it. Like,
and I think that's a big problem, where there are tools out there where it's either like 100% human or 100% automated, and there's no good in between. And it's like, you need a tool that's advanced enough to where you can customize and you can go in and fix, but you need there to be enough automation to where it doesn't take you an hour to caption 1 minute of video. So I think that's where we're trying to play, where it's not, because there are services out there that do that automatically, but you don't have control. It says, oh, you don't need a 1080 version of this. Yeah. We're going to shrink it down into a 640 pixel thing. No. And then it's, you know, and then you don't have control over a lot of this stuff. So it's an exciting field to be playing in, because there's only a few other companies doing it and no one has gotten it right yet.
And they're all like a fortune. I feel like so many of them are
so expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be fun. Yeah. It's just a whole nother thing, man.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm not used to knowing how to, you know, Adam's the genius programmer, where we have a good balance, because, you know, he'll go away in his coding hole and I'll be like, hey, how are you doing? And he'll be spending 5 days on something that we don't even need. So we're learning how to communicate better on that. But it's a good balance. But it's also, he has so much of the power right now where he's building this product. And it's the ultimate test of like letting go of control and being fine with not having all of the answers. Because making YouTube videos, a lot of that frustration with hiring is, I could just do it all. Let me do it all.
Yeah.
Let me do the audio, let me do the video, let me do all this, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been an interesting, it's been good. It's been a really good learning experience.
That is fantastic to hear. And so you're speaking, your partner, he's a programmer. And of course he probably knows Java, for example. And you know what? Java's a nice segue into coffee, and coffee's a nice segue into it. It's time for a break.
Boom.
I had to think of that so hard, trying to figure out how to connect that. Anyway, guys, we are going to be taking a quick break over here. Make sure to grab something to drink, maybe a cold brew, definitely a cold brew. If you have access to a cold brew, get a cold brew. Yeah, we'll be back soon. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Digital Dive Podcast. It still feels weird saying that name. Like, after so many episodes of saying technically speaking, like saying the Digital Dive is just weird. Anyway, though, welcome back. Hope you guys got some cold brew, maybe even just a normal hot cup of coffee. I know Jacqueline doesn't necessarily like me saying like warm cups of coffee are okay, but I think they're fine.
Oh, I'm an iced coffee girl.
See, like
no, I would never drink warm.
See, every time I tweet out that I'm having like a hot cup of coffee, I just get put on blast. It's just I don't know.
Unfollowed.
Yeah, everyone.
We just talk so much about cold brew.
Why? If you have the option to have cold coffee, why would you have hot coffee?
I bought an espresso maker,
Okay.
so now I have to have hot coffee, but like I haven't been able to use it yet.
Why not?
I left half the equipment to make the stuff when I was moving out at my parents' place, and I haven't seen them since because of COVID, so they haven't come up yet. So I'm waiting for them to like kind of come up, just drop it off my door and then dip. But like I'm not close to home, so it's kind of like
Where are you based?
So I'm from Toronto, the greater Toronto area, and then I moved to the University of Waterloo. So it's Waterloo, Ontario.
Okay.
It's like a weird middle, not GTA, not Toronto area place. It's like pretty far.
Yeah, I love Toronto.
Yeah, same.
Toronto's fantastic.
It's very similar to New York, but just like the chiller version.
Literally, yes, exactly.
And it's like a creative hub too.
Yeah.
There's so many creators in
Yep.
Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the move for me after I'm all done with all this, done with Waterloo, move to Toronto and call it a day, and that'll be definitely fun.
Have you guys tried Nitro cold brew?
From Starbucks?
Oh, it's
It's
disgusting.
disgusting.
I hate it.
Hate it.
It
It's
smells
the worst.
bad.
Dude, it also just tastes terrible. I tried it last week. I didn't know it was Nitro, and I was so disappointed. And then I ordered pumpkin spice cold brew in the mail, and I took a sip, and it was disgusting. And then I realized it was also Nitro, so I had it twice without knowing, and it's just the
I
worst.
can't do
Yeah,
Nitro.
I feel like it
So
tastes
gross.
like it has a similar taste to like beer.
Yeah,
I feel like for some
It
reason.
actually does. It's like a weird, like, I don't know. I tried it one time. I thought it was cool. They were taking it off the tap. And I was like, ooh, this is cool. Like Starbucks is like leveled
Yeah.
up everything. And then 5 minutes later, I actually tried it.
Yeah,
and I'm
no.
like, okay, this is not at all what I want. Like,
I felt sick for a minute. It was disgusting.
Yeah, Starbucks sells convenience, not good coffee. I still drink it because it's really convenient.
Yeah.
that is
I do as
that is
well.
true. I mean, for all the Canadian listeners, Tim Hortons all the way. That's all I'm saying.
You like that better than Starbucks? Really?
Oh, no, not at all. Tim Hortons sucks now. It used to be really good. Like,
Yeah,
I'm saying, like,
I've heard it's
like
bad.
5-6 years ago, it was like at its tea, it was at its prime. It was great. And then now it's McDonald's all the way. Like, if I buy beans.
I do love McDonald's coffee.
So the beans for McDonald's coffee are sourced really well, and like I think
Now I'm thinking about McGriddles.
McGriddles are everything. They're fantastic. I had a friend, bro. He worked at McDonald's. I'm not gonna say his name. I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't know if he'll get in trouble. It's been like 3 years. He came up with basically a giant like bag of McGriddles from work. He like brought like an entire bag of them in,
Oh,
like just like
they're
the
so good.
just like the pancake type
Yeah.
fluffy top and bottom. He just brought them in. We're all at a party. We're like, okay, this is great. We all wanted food anyway. This is perfect. And we just had that. It
Oh
was
my god.
McGriddles are great. Oh my god.
Yeah, I feel like McDonald's is actually one of the best fast food and In-N-Out in California.
Chicken fillet is the move too.
You like that one? Yeah.
Oh, I'm a Texan gal, so a good
Yeah.
old Chick-fil-A sandwich and those waffle fries
They
and the
just
sauces.
They just brought a Chick-fil-A to Toronto, and my friend went and got one of their sauces for like, I think it was like chicken tenders or something, and he brought it back, and we were all just having McDonald's chicken nuggets with that sauce, and it actually
Oh.
made it tenfold better. It was
Their
fantastic.
sauces are incredible. I mean,
Fantastic.
just
I've never tried it.
you've never tried Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, no, never.
Isn't Chick-fil-A
Okay,
everywhere in the
alright.
States? Like, I can say I haven't tried In-N-Out
just-
because I've never, like, I
Well,
don't go to the States.
Okay, so New York City is like the one place that Chick-fil-A is actually only in like 2 places.
Really?
When I lived in Texas, it's like churches are on every corner.
Really?
So in New York, there's only one off 40th, I think, and then one in downtown Brooklyn. So Jacqueline, if you ever come visit me in Manhattan, we'll have your first Chick-fil-A experience.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy. I've heard such good things about it, but I've never tried
Chick-fil-A is, apparently, I haven't tried the meat yet, but I heard it's fantastic. I don't know. Anyway, pivoting topics, I kind of do want to talk.
Yeah, let's not talk about food
it. Yeah, especially
because
when you're
I'm like
hungry.
starving.
Yeah. Okay. So pivoting topics. I actually want to talk about pivoting channel topics.
Yeah.
So this is something that Jacqueline and I have been talking about for a while. I actually announced it on the podcast like 2-3 weeks ago, maybe. So I've been doing tech for 5 years on YouTube. I've been reviewing phones, reviewing laptops, so on and so forth, and I've just gotten bored. Like, it's like not bored of tech, but it's bored of making the same cookie cutter recipe type video every single time. And I want to try switching it up, try different things, just see where it goes. I wanted to ask you for some advice. I feel like
Yeah.
you've been in the creator industry for a very long time. You have a very good understanding of like, I guess, almost every single type of video to make in a sense. Like you've made a lot of
Yeah.
different variations and genres and been in very different genres of video creation. So I kind of want to know your thoughts and like, what's the best way, I guess, to kind of pivot your channel?
I can 100% relate to the fact of tech getting kind of mundane and, the same. I mean, what I should have done, honestly, is make my formula more cookie cutter. But what keeps things interesting for me is I go into every video having no idea how to shoot it, how it's going to be shot, how it's going to be edited. That makes it much harder
Mm-hmm.
to like replicate and delegate to people because there is no formula. But for me, that's what kind of keeps things exciting, and just choosing a topic that is based in tech, but it has more of like a general interest, or like it's more specific, because I think a lot of people are probably going through what you're going in the tech space, and that, you've made a certain type of content for so long. And as a creator, you want to change things up and make it exciting for you, but you don't want to scare away your audience. And I think there's definitely a way to gradually pivot, where it's like, maybe you're talking about, just recently I was like, this Note 20 and the Galaxy Fold 2. I'm like, these are really interesting phones. I'm actually genuinely enjoying using them for the first time ever, because I'm usually an iPhone person. So I only focus on Android cameras. But this was the first time where I'm like, this is actually a very enjoyable experience just using it as a phone. So everyone's doing reviews about it. How can I make this more me? And I'm just putting more of the spin of like, how does it actually fit into my productivity workflow and my creative workflow? And like, how do you actually be productive on these new devices and new hardware? And how does it affect your day-to-day working? And they've added so many features to Samsung Notes and all those things. So that's kind of how I changed this video, in that it can still be about the same things that you're talking about, but maybe you just put a twist on it to where it's satisfying for you to talk about it in like a different light. And then if you want to go completely different, maybe you can go from that middle ground to keep introducing your personality and you as a human, to where, tech is still there, but they're getting to know you and they want to come to your videos because of you, not because of the piece of tech. I think that's where people get stuck, is tech is really good for searchable stuff. It's really good because it's topical. So people will find your videos, and, even if you have, say like 50,000 views on a video, people might have just been on that video just for that piece of tech, and they're not necessarily going to stay because they didn't connect with you as a creator. So I think that's one of the most important things to do during that transitional time, is get people to know you a little bit. Talk about the phone, talk about the laptop for 60% of the video, but then introduce a little bit of your life and a little bit about you, to where no matter what type of content you create, people are going to stick around for you no matter what you do.
Yeah, I feel like you do such a good job with that, because you've actually pivoted a ton, right? Like, if we go back to 2016 with the daily vlogs, which you weren't really a fan of making.
No, I hated my life when I was vlogging.
Yeah, in concept, I feel like vlogs are so cool, but then anytime I try to make it, I'm like, I just do not want to film my life and like carry on the camera. So
it puts too much pressure.
Yeah, it really does. And then you kind of pivoted to maybe like some like creative life type videos, and now I feel like you're definitely very much like tech, even though people are coming for you and the tech, which is kind of ideal. But how did you kind of transition so smoothly through all those niches? Because normally like you would expect to lose a lot of your audience, and I feel like you didn't.
Definitely. It was funny when I was vlogging, and it was so obvious that, I was having fun with it, and it was a new challenge every day, and it was fun to, they were definitely more vibey. It gave me an outlet to just like do more montagey stuff, which I used to do a ton in my travel videos. But it just got to a point where I couldn't do anything else other than that, and it just consumes your life. But it was so funny during that period. My channel was actually really struggling, and I was just hovering at the 100K subscriber mark. So I would post a vlog, I would get 500 subscribers. I would post my next vlog, I would go down 1,000. I post another one, I would go up to 50, and then I go down 400.
Wow.
And it kind of just like seesawed like that. And I was like, something has to change, because they're not doing well, and I don't enjoy them. That is a great excuse to change things up.
Yeah, exactly.
Stressful too.
Exactly. So I went more to, what do I like to make? Let's go back to the basics. I love tech, I love cameras, and let's do it in a format that's a little bit more sustainable, but is also focusing on what audience I'm trying to capture. So let's not do 5 videos a week. Let's make 1 video, 2 videos that are just really good. I know they're going to reach beyond my audience, or they're for my core audience. And, you know, I have something that I say all the time, like one for me, one for them. In that it's like, do a video that's for me, that I enjoy, that is for my core audience. They'll appreciate it, but let's do one also that complements that, that's going to reach beyond my audience, that maybe is going to not do well in the beginning, but it'll do well in search. It'll get new people on my channel, and it'll get new people subscribing. So maybe I don't want to make that laptop review video, but hey, it's going to add value to future audience members.
Wow.
I feel like you crush in a lot of ways. Do you find that you focus on story when you're actually like scripting the video? Because I personally have been like preaching like, oh, like story is king. And I do focus on it, but I was more so like making up for the fact that I wasn't planning in the edit. Like I would have to completely construct the story in the edit because I just didn't do a good enough job when I was filming. Do you plan out the story beforehand, or is it also like in the edit for you?
A lot of things that I do is definitely in the edit, just because as an editor, that's what's most fun for me. So it's fun to figure that out. Now things need to be more structured, and especially if it's around something so like cold as a phone. Like a phone in itself isn't going to evoke emotion from the audience, or isn't going to get someone stoked just looking at a piece of glass. So that's something that now is much more intentional with, okay, what is the point of this video? It can't just be about this phone. It can't just be about this laptop, but what is the greater story that I'm telling? And usually it's through the lens of a creative, whether that's a filmmaker, a YouTuber, you know, a programmer. I want to show these products through the lens of how people are actually going to use them. Yeah. And that's been definitely the core of all of my videos.
And you also switched a ton, or you make a ton of videos about laptops.
Yeah.
Is that more interesting to you than phones?
100%. Yeah, I think computers in general are just so much more interesting than phones. I mean, phones are getting great now because we have foldables, we have all these things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this next Samsung video that I've been making is taking me forever to figure it out, just because there's so many things I want to say. But laptops are just, people are doing more stuff with them, and I find it very interesting, the weird back and forth of, is it a laptop, is it a tablet, is it a desktop? You know, there's so much more fluidity in that market in between different form factors that it's just exciting for me to cover. So everything I make is an extension of my life. So in the previous year, 2 years, 3 years, you know, I was saying goodbye to the MacBook Pro, and I was figuring out Windows land. And it was just so fun for me to rediscover something that I hadn't used in a while. And I was like, Windows doesn't suck. This is awesome. And I have laptops with crazy form factors. I mean, the one I'm on right now, the ZenBook Pro Duo, has a dual screen. So there's a screen above the keyboard. Crazy.
I've seen that.
You know, Apple would never do that. No. So now that I've reached the space where I'm kind of good, now I'm not making as many laptop videos because me, myself, I'm satisfied. So there's no more story to tell for me. And so I think that's what, to answer both of y'all's questions, can be the thread throughout everything you make, is just, it can be an extension of how you're feeling and what interests you. And then you can show it through the lens of tech, show it through the lens of travel or vlogs, however, you know, whatever medium that you're passionate about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, thank you so much for all of your laptop videos, because I was reviewing the LG Gram and I had no idea how to use Windows. I haven't used Windows in like a solid 6 years.
Yeah.
And
I got plenty of Windows videos.
Yeah, I saw all of your how to switch from a Mac to Windows. This is like all the videos I was searching for the first 24 hours of me using that laptop.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Windows is complicated, but it definitely isn't as bad as you'd expect. It's not. You just need a good mouse. That's the big thing I've been saying. The trackpad needs to be good. If it's not, I can't switch.
Trackpad sucks on like,
okay.
I feel like
trackpads have gotten so much better though.
They have.
I literally from pre-2016 garbage, and then after that, even after that, they were getting there. There was only certain trackpads. The Razer trackpads were never that great, but Dell has definitely been consistent. Microsoft Surface laptops are great.
You think it's as good as Mac?
So it's just different. Now in 2020, I think most Windows trackpads are good. And I've gotten so used to them. And a lot of this is just what you're used to. I've gotten so used to them. When I was reviewing the new MacBook Pro, the 2020 or the 2019, wait for it. Wait for this. I didn't like the MacBook Pro trackpad. It was too big for me. I was like,
Oh.
what is this? What is going on?
Wow.
And so that's when you're always you're your least biased, like plus and minus 6 months after switching to something. When you're figuring out, you figured it out, then you can, that's why I was really good at making those laptop videos, because I had, you know, my feet in both Windows and Mac.
Yeah.
But now that I'm like, I'm 100% Windows when it comes to laptops, now I'm like biased towards how Windows trackpads feel. Because like
Really?
MacBooks, I'm just like, it's too big. I don't like this trackpad. What is this?
No, I can understand that. Yeah. And it's also like a different way you use it.
Do you think it's like fluid though? Like, I feel like when I personally use Windows laptops, it always feels like it's like maybe like a beat behind what I'm trying to do. Do you think it hasn't been like that? I haven't used it in like 6 months.
I mean, I don't think so. And I like how Windows interacts with trackpad too. I like the shortcuts. I like how, you know, using 3 fingers, you can shuffle in between the windows. You know, it's not just shuffling in between the spaces, but they have a really pretty interface where you just hover 3 fingers on the trackpad and you see, you can shuffle in between the apps really quickly. So even the little stuff like that, I actually enjoy better.
That is kind of shocking. I'm like so surprised to hear that. But I guess it kind of makes sense because I used to use Windows computers a ton until I got my first Mac like 6 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I still like review them and stuff, but yeah, I think you do kind of have to like be heavily invested in it to get used to it.
Yep.
All right, this is an incredibly like bad pivot, hard pivot. Let's just talk briefly about monetizing a YouTube channel. We try to bring this up with every guest because I feel like a lot of people can maybe figure out how to grow on YouTube, but there's so much like mystery, like it's shrouded in mystery with how you make money on it, because you're kind of like a creative entrepreneur, and you also have the podcast as well, and then there's direct to consumer. So can you kind of break down your thoughts with monetizing on YouTube and what has like the most longevity and legs behind it?
Yes, all good questions. There's so many different ways to monetize, and I think the most important thing is you're doing it what's true to you. There's a lot of revenue streams that require a lot of work up front that I'm just like, when I feel like when it comes to courses, when it comes to products that you're selling directly to the audience, like they better be good.
Yeah.
If your audience is paying you directly $500, even $1,000 for knowledge, like you better drop that knowledge.
Yeah.
It better be so helpful because you are asking money directly from your audience. And I think that's so powerful. And I think it's why if you have, you know, those 1,000 true fans, anyone can make money online. But I'm the type of person where I feel like I can't put my life on pause for 3 weeks just to make one course.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that that's something that is always off the table. It's just a lot of things. And I think this goes for merch too. It's like you want to do it right.
Yeah.
And so my natural state of being, just because I made corporate videos before all of this, I'm used to doing client work, and I'm used to, okay, the brand has expectations, and thank goodness, because I'm a YouTuber, I'm no longer making that video directly for the brand, but hey, now I get to use my voice. It goes in my video, whatever video I want to make, and I'll match it up with, you know, the correct audience. But then for 3 minutes, I talk about this brand and everyone wins. Like that's a home run for me. And I enjoy working with brands in that way. So it's one of those things that have to be definitely true to yourself, and you just can't do it all. It's impossible to do it all. So don't feel bad, because that's something also I've had to, you know, like I don't even know the word. See, sometimes, you know, I'm a podcaster and YouTuber, but sometimes the words just escape me. Something that I had to get over was the guilt of not making enough, not having enough revenues of money and
passive income.
Oh, passive income, and everyone's doing this. Why don't I do this? And just don't feel guilty. It's just, you're going to do what you can do, and if you have the time and the patience to scale things, like that's just putting one foot in front of the other. It's not going to happen overnight, and you just inch your way to, you know, the different goals you have, but just don't feel guilty. You don't need more reasons to beat yourself up. Like, making content online is already crazy enough.
Yeah. I mean, I still, like, my affiliate makes up such a tiny portion of my income, and I still like feel like not like guilty, like kind of guilty about it. I'm like, why are, like, this should be easy
like,
to
you
like
could be
utilize.
doing better.
And like, you talk to people like Roberto Blake, who's incredible, but he'll be like, passive income, And it's so difficult to like actually do passive income. Like I would say that most of my income comes from sponsorships and working with brands. Whereas like I've talked to other YouTubers like us that most of their income comes from like Amazon affiliate. Like I know one person that was making like enough to like literally buy a Lamborghini every single quarter of the year from just affiliate. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. So like,
what am I doing with my life? Oh my God. A Lamborghini every quarter.
Yeah.
If you be intentional with it, that's one that I'm way better at. Because once you just start drawing attention to like, oh, hey, and like my affiliate links will be down. I think people get overwhelmed because they think they have to do all these things. But in reality, it's just like you forget to shout it out in your video. Yeah. And it goes a long way to just like remind people, and there's an affiliate link in the description below if you're interested. And, reaching out to companies that might not sell on Amazon, might not sell on B&H, but maybe they have their own affiliate program. That's something that I've been better at with these desks that I love. They're standing desks from Fully.com.
Yeah, and I love those.
I was like, listen, guys, it's going to be beneficial to everyone. I will talk about you more if you get me on affiliate. And they started an affiliate program, for the few YouTubers that love their desks. And it's good for everyone. And I think that's a great way to do it.
I mean, I totally agree with you. Would you say, like, if you had to, like, break down where your income is coming from, is affiliate, like, a major portion, or is it also more so sponsors?
No, I would say affiliate is, let's see. I would say affiliate is around, like, $2K a month.
Oh, I wasn't asking you for exact numbers. If you want to share that, you definitely can.
Oh, no, yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, that's, like, I'm fine with sharing that. Okay. Because, like, I live in New York City, and have employees and like am paying for an office and apartment. Like people can do the math that's even though that sounds like a lot of money, that's like on the low end. But I think it's important to know that like it's possible, like to, like you said, Lamborghini a month, or just a few $100s a month can change people's lives. And that lives English.
You could like literally hire someone to help you part-time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum, but that's still really helpful income for me. And then the majority is sponsorships on my YouTube channel, but then I also do occasionally videos for directly for brands. So I'll be the personality, I'll do the interviews, I will present, and then I'll make the video for their social channels, or they'll have the production team and they'll be filming, and I'm just like the presenter at a conference or something. Obviously that stuff has slowed down, but that stuff is fun because especially when they have their own video team that's making everything, and I just get to kind of be the on-camera personality. That's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, you did one, I forget which company it was with, but you interviewed like Neil Patrick Harris or something like that, right?
Yeah, that was for AT&T at Vulture Festival. That was a lot of fun.
Neil Patrick Harris.
That was awesome.
Barney Stinson. Yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was sick. I've actually been doing a ton of licensing, and that's actually like surprisingly made up a ton of my income this year.
That's awesome.
It's kind of great. Like it's not nearly as much work.
Good
it's
though.
Like gold.
Yeah. I'll tell a fun story. And this was like a one-off, so I'm comfortable sharing the number. But I don't even know what type of company it was, but it was like a TV commercial in Europe. It wasn't even in the States, and they licensed it was like me in a helicopter.
Okay.
And it was like, I think it was like $15K or something just to have TV usage for I think it was like, maybe it was like a credit card or something. It was like live your best life or whatever. And I was like, okay, use my likeness. But that was like a one-off thing. But yeah, if I could be in more commercials with footage I've already shot, hello.
It's great.
That's awesome. I mean,
awesome.
What footage... Like, what are you licensing to? What company?
Yeah, it's mainly Samsung is actually. Okay. So, like, I'll film a review video, have no idea that they're going to want it, and then they'll reach out, like, a couple months down the line, and they'll be like, can we license this line from you? Yeah. And obviously, like, they are a big company, so they have, like, a big budget. So they...
Yeah. Well, and you're using you and you're endorsing the product. Yeah. That's, like, a lot to ask for. Yeah, so, of course, you need that bag.
So that was one of them. I've actually done a couple with them this year. They actually just released one with me, Lou from Unbox Therapy, and Michael Fisher. So like they kind of have like a pretty good handle on the tech space.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's so great about that is there's just so many ways to do this, right? It's not like you have to be an uber famous TikToker or uber famous YouTuber with millions of subscribers. There's so many ways to make money online, and there's so much value to perfect each stage of that process. So if you can be an amazing editor or an amazing filmer or an amazing personality or an amazing manager who can empower other creators. But then the real magic is if you have all of those things in one, that's when you're a killer. And that's when you can go and, you know, make money from all of these different things. And you can just, the world is your oyster, you know?
Yeah, there are a ton of different ways to make money on YouTube and online in general. Which actually kind of brings us to our hot take section, where we ask you a bunch of questions and want like quick answers. The first one is that you work with a manager or someone that helps you facilitate your deals. What was the reason you decided to do that? Because a lot of creators do their deals all by themselves, but you were kind of like really early in working with someone.
So this brings me back to first thing that you should delegate is what you don't like to do and what you're bad at.
Okay.
I hate answering emails. And I do not like talking numbers and contract stuff. And I was bad at it. So very easy to make that decision. Basically, my manager did like a year of courting with me. And I was like, okay, if he's really this excited about where I'm going, the future of where I'm going, then it's going to be a good partnership.
Yeah.
That's actually really dope. Like this thing about that.
Yeah.
No, like, I don't know. For me, whenever I think about like going like managers and stuff like that, I start thinking like, at least I start thinking in my own perspective, like I'm like, okay, like, I really like the business side of things. So like I want to do all that myself, but then at the same time I hate emails, so they would never work. So then like Yeah,
that's when delegation is your friend.
Yeah, I actually kind of like it, but I also just like noticed that I was getting more money if I worked with someone.
No,
do it.
That's the thing. People don't do it because they think, oh, they take 10%, oh, they take 15%. When in reality, when someone else is vouching for your value, you're probably going to get more money anyways. So they pay for themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
That is definitely cool. All right, next question. So is there still an opportunity to grow on YouTube with daily vlogs? Now, here's the thing. I've been thinking about vlogging. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not very interesting. But just generally, besides all that, do you think daily vlogs could still get you like an opportunity, give you an opportunity to grow on YouTube? Like I know there's Airrack who's been like blowing up on he's on
killing
YouTube.
it.
He's killing it. And he's trying to literally prove that you can still hit 1 million subscribers in like on YouTube in 2020.
If you can do it in a compelling way to where you're not just, because no one's interested in like what you're eating for breakfast anymore. Like YouTube has moved to the point where you got to get to the point faster. So if you can do it in that way, 100%. A vlogger who I'd love to watch is Yoon Olsen. But he does it like 2 a week, which I think is a good pace.
Okay, that's definitely a good note to have.
Yeah.
All right, this is like a really big question. I feel like it's like the standard one that's asked all the time.
I'm trying to do these quickly.
Where do you
and then this the fast round, guys. Let's go.
All right.
Where do you see yourself in like 5 years? Is it still like YouTube and Switchboard, or is it something like totally different?
Switchboard and YouTube, but
Ooh.
maybe it's more of me in an office and less of my face everywhere.
That's so disappointing for everyone listening right now. You just broke so many
Like,
hearts.
all of your fans,
sorry. Maybe I'll still be doing the podcast though. I'll be a part of the internet in some way, but I feel like I'm gonna need a break at some point from my face being everywhere 24/7.
Yeah, it's
That's
a lot.
Definitely fair. So another question. So congratulations first off, you're getting married soon. So well, I don't know with COVID and everything how that's all planning out, but
some point.
At some point it's gonna happen. Do you think it's harder to find a videographer given your background in video production? Like, has that been like an issue for you as you've been going along this process?
Is John a part of this question? I'm like, getting married. Well, you don't need to be married to find a videographer.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's really true.
Yeah, I meant.
Oh, is maybe
like
the
a videographer
connection
for the wedding.
Yeah, like the wedding videographer.
Oh.
Sorry. I changed the question that Jacqueline asked last night.
That would be so bizarre.
Yeah,
otherwise,
that's so funny. I'm like, well, I guess it works out if the person who you marry can also video for you.
No.
Like,
no, in terms of like,
video.
are you like super like judgy, like watching people?
No, that's a good question. So everything is on pause. So I basically in the first week, I actually found a dress and we found a venue, but we didn't lock down any of that just because the pandemic hit, and now we have like no idea when it's going to happen. But this is going to be a weird answer. Because I'm a video person, I literally, a part of me just wants to like set up some cameras on the tripod and like edit it myself.
Really?
I know that's terrible to say.
So stressful, dude.
But
the wedding, like you like setting up an angle.
But we're trying to do it like kind of on a budget, and I'm sorry, like I don't want to pay. I'm one of those people that's like, know your worth. But at the same time, I don't want to pay you $10,000 for a 5-minute montage of my wedding.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could do that in like 4 hours.
No, literally. I was at my cousin's wedding and he had this videographer around. I'm like, yo, man, you should have just hired me. Like I could use the money too. Like, it's literally just like they're so expensive.
It's gotten really expensive.
Yeah, they're so expensive because if they like screw it up, like it's done. It's like one moment, so it's so much pressure, but it's a fortune.
And I guess that's why you're paying so much money for them to get that right. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they don't get it right, it's like ruined. I know someone that like hired 2 different people. It's like then like $20,000 in videographers, like just to make sure that they got it. I was like, you don't need it that much.
Just for the backup, for the backup SD card. That's it.
I know it's like really bad to say since I'm a video person, but I think the money we'll probably spend is more on the photographer.
Okay, I feel like that's
fair.
Those are things that you're gonna, keep forever. And then I don't know, I might just like give cameras to like a few friends and tell them just like do stuff, capture some content.
Yeah, I mean you have like video friends and stuff, so like. It'll work out.
Yeah. And it's not something I exactly want to like share with the internet anyways. So
yeah, I'm surprised that you shared even like the engagement with the internet.
Yep.
Was there like a choice of like, I want to do this?
It was more since John was the one who proposed, like I'm not going to tell him don't make a video about it.
Yeah, true.
But I was way more comfortable of him putting that video on his channel, and then on my channel it's just like, hey guys, I'm engaged, and then I moved on with the rest of my life.
Yeah. People also get bummed. Like they're like kind of upset that you're like in a relationship.
It's also different when we both have like 90% male audiences. It's much more different with a 90% male audience when you're a dude, because then everyone's like, oh yeah, freaking congrats. But then if I would have posted that to my channel, it would be like, oh
yeah, it's so
I'm annoyed. They would just like have so many opinions on everything. And because I think being a woman on the internet is a little bit like some men that watch you, and this might be, I don't know if I should say this, but like a lot of men who watch women on the internet, if they're at all like attracted to them, a lot of the time they're like hanging on to the fact that maybe one day I could be with her.
Oh my God.
I know that's so weird to say.
No, that's.
But like a lot of comments, like it's very obvious that that's what they're thinking, and it's just like, bro, like, just like watch my video.
Yeah.
Like watch me for me, hopefully. So
yeah, no, like someone thought Darsh and I were dating, which obviously we're not.
That happens a lot.
And this person unsubscribed. They were like, oh my God, like this is the only reason I was watching. Like now, like you have a boyfriend. I was like, all right, like relax. So
Jacqueline,
weird.
that's something you're gonna have to worry about for your entire career.
Yeah.
So welcome.
It's bad. I actually, there was a female creator that I followed. This is definitely like not a hot take anymore, but there was a female creator that I followed, and literally like she was like frequently asked questions, and then it was like, yeah, I have a boyfriend, because people just like are otherwise kind of obsessed.
Yep.
All right, we're ending this podcast on a weird note, but that was the last hot take.
No, yeah. We'll have to do like a part 2 where we can talk about being a woman on the internet.
Yeah, and all the facets.
It's unique.
We actually, you and I post like some stuff. I posted last week, I got a comment from someone. They were like, go back to the kitchen. I was like, for anyone that doesn't believe that there's still like sexism in the comments.
Yeah.
And then someone wrote, they were like, it's actually easier to be a female creator. Like, you have no idea like what the male creators go through. I was like, okay. Not even worth it.
I can't even have words.
Yeah. No, you posted a thread a while back though that like a bunch of comments you got.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many things that you have to think about, and so many extra things. And I'm like, I knew, even though I would love if we lived in a world where you could just be unashamedly you, and that wouldn't be a problem. I would love that. But I know if you're a woman And if you show off some of the stuff you got, then that's how they're going to paint you. They're going to be there for XYZ instead of your knowledge, instead of your personality. So it was like very, very conscious of me in the beginning to, pretty sure the internet has no idea that I have boobs. You know, I am always in shirts like this. And, you know, it's like, you know what? You're going to focus on my words and my personality, whether you like it or not. You are never going to know that I got something underneath here.
This podcast has taken a turn.
It has taken a turn. But those are things you have to be intentional with. Yeah. And you have to think about. And I know it might sound like cringy or weird if you're a dude listening to this, but there's a little insight. There are just 1,000 different versions of that are constantly going through your head. Yeah,
I wanted to do like a Matt Diavella style thumbnail, like in my bed overhead shot, and I was talking to Leon about it. He was like, do not do that. Like, you're just going to get so many comments. I was like, all right.
Can't do that.
Yeah, no, there's so many things that you don't even like think about until like you're in it, especially because we're in tech, so the audience is like super male focused. Like, if your audience is more female, I feel like you can do a little bit more. All right, so
many things to think about.
Yeah, it's a weird
great note to end on. You're welcome for this quality content.
I'm just taking all this in right now. I'm like, oh, like
Darsh can't relate.
I can't relate. I'm just listening. I'm just like trying to understand as best I can. Like I have a twin sister, so I hear a lot about this stuff. Like just generally in like life for her, like what she has to essentially deal with. So she talks to me about all these things, but like it's always like I guess for me, as bad as it is, like it's like kind of like something you forget. Like I forgot. Like like that's actually like scary, I guess, for like something you can't post everything you'd want to post.
But we're not going to end it on that low note. Let's bring it back up. This podcast totally took a dip. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. Like,
oh my goodness,
you're like a genius. Pleasure. I feel like everyone knows that like you're so good at like filming and making YouTube videos, but I feel like you don't get enough credit for how smart you are as well with like the business and like figuring out how to pivot and what like your next venture is. And I think that Switchboard is going to be like huge.
I'm amped for Switchboard. I'm so excited to see how everything unfolds. This is going to be so sick.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys being interested and asking those questions. So thank you.
Yeah, no, well, it's actually going to like directly help us when we can get it.
Yeah, literally, it's like right in our alleyway. We're like, okay, like we need this. Like, Sarah, just push it out as soon as you can, okay? As soon as it's ready, hit us up. Yeah.
Yep.
No, but thank you so much. If you guys want to check out Sarah, she'll be linked in the description below. We're also going to link her podcast, That Creative Life, which is incredible. It's like one of my all-time favorite podcasts. And we'll have to talk soon. Hopefully we can actually see each other at an event, like and then not so.
Yes, and let me know if you're ever in the city.
Chick-fil-A. You have to try the Chick-fil-A. That's all I'm saying. Also, before we do go, I want to give a huge shout out to Adil Constantine for our intro and outro music. You guys hear it every single episode, and he did a fantastic job. So definitely go check him out in the show notes down below. Also, we've talked about him a lot, and hopefully you guys will get to meet him eventually. Luke, our fantastic editor, these episodes would not be possible without you, so thank you so much. Go check out his links also in the show notes down below. With that all being said, I think that is the end of this episode. I think it was I'm so happy with this episode. I'm so stoked.
Got a lot of good nuggets.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.